Welcome back to the Decision Ease podcast. I'm your host, Kirsten Parker, and it is that time again, my friends. It is time to update your core values. I don't know why the game show host, but we can make it fun. And I'm going to do a rundown today to either refresh this idea if you are familiar with it, if you've been with me for a long time and you are down with the core values. And I'm going to introduce it for our new listeners because this is a game changer for decision making. And it is not something that most people on the streets do. They don't think through this. They don't let core values regularly influence decisions and use this really authentic, really juicy source of self-awareness to direct themselves and direct their decisions intentionally and make their decisions easier all over life. So let's get into it. I was recently speaking to a group of fellow Yale graduates. It's this alumni group of women who work for ourselves. And they asked me to run one of the discussions, kind of freewheeling chat discussion from my expertise. That's kind of how the group works. And we ended up talking about a very real life situation in which core values can help a decision be more straightforward, less effortful, faster. So I promise you we're going to make this applicable to real life. That's what I'm always all about. And you know me, sometimes I can't help myself. Sometimes I cannot help myself. You know, we love a worksheet around here when it helps. And I have a worksheet I regularly send to clients who are working through or updating their core values. So I've adapted that for you to make this so dang easy and doable and also give you something concrete to sit down and look at and work through. You can go grab that for free right now at kirstenparker.com/values. Just make it easy on yourself. So let's break down what we're talking about before we get into the nitty-gritty of how to choose them and then how to use them in decision making. Here's my take on your core values. They fit into your decision anchor. Your decision anchor is where are you approaching life from? What is the stance you want to take showing up into the world, into your life today, so that you know how to make decisions? You have a way to tell you're making good choices for you. Your vision, goals, and values. The core values fit into the decision anchor because they are distinct from your vision, which is your future-based identity, how you want to see yourself 3-6 months from now. And they're distinct from your goals. Your goals are specific, things you want to feel, achieve, experience, put resources into. Your core values are the things you want to align your life with. They are things you want influencing your choices. And they're the things that you can tell are missing when you're not aligned, when you feel out of alignment with yourself, with who you want to be or what you want to be spending your time on or spending your energy on. You can tell this hasn't been showing up so much in my decision making. This has been a little neglected, deprioritized. And this is a perfect time of year to refresh them or think of them for the first time. We really want you feeling like you can own your choices this year. And we also want you making more decisions that you can point to in the past and say, yes, that was a good decision. Yes, I'm going to give credit to past me for putting present me in this position to enjoy what I'm enjoying. And this is one of the ways you're going to do it. You're going to write down on paper in a place that you can easily see every day. Also, you don't have to do it on paper. One time I had a client make an entire art project out of this. I think she took an old mirror and there were paints involved. I can't remember now because it was years and years ago, but it was fantastic. So I take it back. You don't have to write it down on paper, but you do have to put these somewhere you will see easily every day. And you're going to pick 3 to 5. If you're doing your personal core values right now, you're going to do 3 to 5. And I'm going to explain why I emphasize personal in a second here. But let's go all the way through what we're talking about. You're going to pick 3 to 5 core values. And why do we limit it? Because 16 core values doesn't create helpful limits. It doesn't give you enough criteria by which to judge decisions. We're going to make your core values personal, specific, and seasonal. Here's what that means. Personal. They apply to you and you only. That means they don't have to make sense to anybody else and they don't have to sound good to anybody else. We can really get in our heads with shoulds around core values. We can think we need to have something in there about our family. We need to have something in there about gratitude and service. And by the time the 3 to 5 slots are filled up with everything we think should be there, we have nothing that authentically came from us that has anything to do with our lives right now and what we want and what we value at this moment in time. So get out of your head with any shoulds. And what helps with that are the other 2 elements of the core values that we're requiring here. So they have to be personal. They have to be specific. Health can be specific. If that means something very specific to you, great. Don't change it and make it wordier just to follow my rules. But if health is so broad and so vague to you that you don't actually know how it would influence a decision, that's not helpful. These can't just sound good and make you feel nice thinking about them. We want them to be useful. We want them to be useful in your everyday life. I was making a decision recently about whether I was going to go to this thing or not. And you know me, I love an efficient shortcut. I'm like, do I want to think about this and bounce between options of how I could go or how I couldn't go for the rest of my entire day? No, I want an efficient way through this choice. And you know what got me there? Asking, wait, let me check in with my core values right now and see if that helps. See if that pings something and makes it obvious, gives me an obvious yes or an obvious no. And it did. So in order to make these useful in your everyday life, we want them to feel specific for you. If you get the PDF at kirstenparker.com/values, remember it's free. Take or leave, but if it'll make it easier for you, go grab it. I have actual examples of not just generic values on here, but really specific ones that clients have used in the past that I really love because of how specific it was for them. One of the examples is joyful self-care. A client who was coming up with her core values, self-care was too vanilla. It was too like, I don't really know what that means. That doesn't really light me up in any way. That doesn't feel authentic. It sounds good, but it doesn't feel enough like me. So we explored a little bit and we found out that she didn't need to change the value. The value was almost there, but joyful self-care was actually the value she wanted to align with. That's the quality of self-care that she was really going to feel good about influencing her decisions. So that's one example. Another example is effervescent authenticity. Ugh, doesn't that just make you feel bubbly inside? That was really specific to a client and it meant something specific to her. That's a really key thing. Personal, doesn't have to make sense or sound good to anybody else, and specific. You don't have to add qualifiers to your values. You can have creativity, health, family. If those mean something specific to you, great. You don't have to complicate it, okay? But if you feel like you're just putting things on there because they sound good, but you don't really know what they mean to you, feel free to make them mean what you want them to mean. The third element of the core values that you're going to set up is seasonality. You're going to make them applicable to your current life. This helps with making them personal and specific because you get the freedom of zooming into right now, this season of your life. In this season of your life is a core value that you really want influencing your choices: exploration, adventure, expansion. Or is a core value actually way different than that? Is it stability, boundaries, calm, stabilization? Now, your values do not have to fight with each other. This is probably an entire different episode, so maybe I will just leave that at that, and then we'll have a different conversation about when it feels like your values are in competition. But this is not an either or. This is not a checklist. Like every decision you make has to satisfy every single value. And you don't have to order them. You don't have to rank them. And like, this is the most important value. Because life is not that clear cut, right? Life is messy. Life is dynamic. So you're going to have a decision you might make based on a specific value. And that's what makes that choice right for you. So don't put the pressure on yourself for all of these to look like they come from the same brand and they're all going to like mix and match together. We're not putting a wardrobe capsule together, okay? We're being honest about what values do you want your life aligned with right now. And frankly, if it looks all over the place and you feel like, oh, there's no way I can honor my values of abundance and financial security right now, That is a really good thing to know. That is a sign that there are some things that you need to work out in your mindset about where you stand on things, what's possible, how are we making decisions, so that you don't constantly feel like you're sacrificing or compromising or lowering your standards or keeping yourself from what you want, right? Oh my gosh, I'm fired up today. Can you tell? So we're going to do 3 to 5 core values. You're going to make them personal, specific, and seasonal. The caveat I have here is that sometimes it is really helpful to zoom in on a particular area of your life and identify core values for that area. I said these are your personal core values. You can also come up with, what are my core values for my relationship, my marriage, my whatever? What are my core values for my career right now? What are my professional core values? This all comes back to making your decisions easier, because what you're doing is you're setting up criteria. You're giving yourself a framework to reference later on next Tuesday. The example that came up on this call that we were on in the Yale call was, like I said, it's a group of women who run their own businesses, and the idea of what to charge for came up. There could be 10 different ways to answer that question. What are we basing our answer on? How do we know we're making the right decision for us based on what we have decided matters, based on the goals and values we've already set? So we're making it easier for future you next Tuesday at 3 p.m. who's faced with this decision to not have to invent the wheel from scratch here, not have to run through every possible scenario to figure out the quote unquote right answer. The PDF can help you work through this. It can give you brainstorming ideas. It has more details about how to actually land on your top 3 to 5. Some people have a really, really easy time with that. Some people need a lot more time to process and choose. And I address all that. And remember, that's at kirstenparker.com/values. I failed to mention before, too, it has this bonus exercise in it, which I encourage everybody to do, even if you're totally aware of your core values. Kelly McGonigal wrote this book, The Upside of Stress, which I reference a lot in my work because a lot of my work is about stress regulation and not just the physical tools, but also the mindset around stress. And she shares, quote, "It turns out that writing about your values is one of the most effective psychological interventions ever studied," end quote. By connecting more deeply with your core values, it's really great to start with identifying them and writing them down. And then if you want to go a step further and connect with them a little bit more deeply, you're just going to make it easier to make decisions that are aligned with what you value. It's just going to make it easier for you to make faster decisions because the answer will be more innately obvious to you, what is the right choice for you. And it will make it easier for you to stand by decisions once you've made them, because you won't have all of this flip-flopping, second guessing, ooh, was that right? Because you're going to know where you stand. And this is just one way we make decisions easier for ourselves. This is not this will answer every single life choice you ever have to make solution, but there is no solution like that. This is a crucial piece of the foundation of decision ease. Remember, it's vital for ease's sake to write these down and put them somewhere in your face where you can see them easily every day. Not your phone, not your computer, not something you have to open up and get into, somewhere that will attract your attention on its own, that you can reference, that you can really use as a visual reminder when you're in that Tuesday 3 p.m. moment of, oh, an email just popped in with an opportunity to do something. How do I make this choice? How do I work through this? How do I know where to start with landing on a decision that I don't second guess the rest of my life, but I also don't want this to take 10 years to make this choice? You give yourself something to reference. Well, let me run through my core values. Does it make it obvious what would be in alignment or what would be out of alignment? Does this give me a clue about what I might want to find out next to get to a decision? This is all about making your choices easier, but giving you choices you actually like and can stand by. If you want to go further with the Decision Ease framework, you have options. You can get the Decision Ease Essentials workshop, the foundational elements of the Decision Ease framework, which I teach fully in the Decision Ease program. So you can go to kirstenparker.com/essentials and get the workshop just to get a taste of what would make my life easier when it comes to making decisions more efficiently, effectively, and authentically. And you can check out the Decision Ease program, which is still available real time as you're listening in January of 2026 for its lowest price ever. We build up your self-trust as you take charge of your decision process. So you get the Decision Ease framework in bite-sized digestible chunks over 8 weeks. So dive into the program. If you've been thinking, man, my life would get a lot better if I just had cleaner, faster, efficient decisions, dive in. It's never going to be the price that it is right now. Again, I don't know if it will always include 3 private coaching hours, but right now it does. So I would just jump in. Like I said, if you're having these thoughts like, oh, it would be nice to spend less time every single week overthinking small decisions or second guessing decisions that I've already made, or occasionally beating myself up for that one decision I made 15 years ago that I can't let go of, this is what this is for. So you have options. Go to kirstenparker.com/values to get this free PDF, kirstenparker.com/essentials to get the Decision Ease Essentials workshop, which if you're curious about the Decision Ease program, but you don't know that you'll completely vibe and you want a little more of a taste of what it's like to work with me, get the Essentials workshop, because that's what you're going to get. And if you're ready to dive into the Decision Ease program and clean up that decision making without it taking hours of extra effort in your life, go get that. You have 2 more Mondays that you can start in this calendar month. That's at kirstenparker.com/program. I hope you have a fabulous time updating your core values. I hope you give yourself the opportunity to see what it's like for them to influence your decisions. Give it a week. Give it a week of looking at the Post-it and seeing them every day and letting them come to the forefront of your mind more and more naturally, and see what happens. See what decisions get easier. See how much more ownership you can feel over choices by knowing, oh yeah, I can stand by this choice. I'm making it because it's in alignment with that value. Done. I'm so excited for you. All right. Happy January. Happy New Year still. I will see those of you who are starting the Decision Ease program on the 19th or the 26th. I will talk to you inside the program soon. And otherwise, have a beautiful day. Bye. Hey, want to find out your decision style? Obviously, go take the decision style quiz. It's in the show notes and at kirstenparker.com/quiz. We all have our style when it comes to making decisions, but do you know how to use your default way of thinking to your advantage? Or do you mainly get stuck in the most annoying parts of overthinking and people pleasing? The decision style quiz has your answers, my friend. Take it right now at kirstenparker.com/quiz.